What's up? It's Matt. We're back with another episode of MPTV. This time we have a first in about a year and a half. Aaron, you're the first person from the food distribution business. So I've got Aaron from Performance Food Group. Aaron, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Hey, Aaron Croghan, lifelong foodie. I'm a sales guy from Performance Food Group, and I typically work in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, Louisville, and Indianapolis. Thanks for having me on, Matt.
You're welcome. How many years in the business is with regards to food distribution?
So food distribution, about 12 years in food distribution. Got into the food world on accident. Started.
That's like everybody, right?
I know, for real. Started making bagels, donuts, fresh bread, and I guess 27 years later, here I am. I'm still here. It's been great, and I love the fact that I get to continue to be passionate about food and hospitality, and it's what makes me go.
I ran into somebody the other day. We were talking about their food, who they use, and the guy's like, "I've got 6 companies. Every week, I look at who's got the best prices, and I place my order based on that." And it's kind of ironic because I had a guest on this podcast months ago that said he's the complete opposite. He's like, "Hey, I've got one food company that does all my stuff. They have for 5 years. My prior restaurant I worked at, the owner would spend 4 hours figuring out tomatoes, green beans, beef, napkins, and beat the crap out of the reps." I've grown up, my dad, Dwayne, has taught me about relationships, and I think that's probably overlooked a lot in your business with regards to some of these restaurants.
Well, it is. We do see it a lot in the business. There are people that unfortunately don't develop a relationship with the distributor for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's based on trust, quality of products, being ethical, and we're all in the business to make money.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're very much different than the restaurant owner. Is that we're selling a product at a fair price for the quality, and we want you to count on us and trust us to always treat you that way. It's not a guarantee that our items are always going to be cheaper, though.
Yeah. Well, and I had a company the other day that I was talking to that told me the services they do with us that I think you're a little high for the industry. I said, okay, so has the CEO of any of those companies ever come by your restaurants? I said, because I've been to 5-year restaurants in 5 different states over the past year. Yeah, you might be able to find a company that can help you with your email and your text and your Facebook and your in-store marketing. I said, but is the quality of service there, and are they going to be here in 5 years? I look at guys like you. I've seen you work. I know the depth of relationships you've had. I've talked to your clients. I've talked to people who don't do business with you that are beating your door down to do business with you. You obviously understand how to build that rapport and be there for that operator.
Yeah, the uniqueness of food distribution sales is that it's so much different thing than selling a car or selling a boat, is that the relationship is renewed every week. And one great thing about what we're doing is that we're investing in people and boots on the ground. We want our sales team to meet our customers where they want to be met. If they want to do their orders on a napkin, yeah, and hand it to one of our sales members every week, and that's how they want to do business, that's how we'll come do business with them. If they want online ordering and they only want to see us every couple weeks, we'll do that as well. It's really, it's about servicing our customers and building that long-term relationship. There's not a lot of profit in food, as the operators know, and there's not a lot of profit on my side. So we want those 20 and 30-year relationships.
What's ironic is that I've gotten to see the other side of the business because I've been working the last 3 weeks at Rapid Fired Pizza in Florence. And 2 of my shifts, the Presto driver has shown up. The one shift, the driver showed up, who's always the driver apparently, and he had one of the warehouse workers with him. And I guess the concept was they were trying to show the warehouse workers the other side, where the product ends up at in that relationship. And it was kind of funny because I'm sitting there, Michael, the one time, he's like, "Man, I'm missing like 8 things from here." And I'm like, I don't know. We're looking everywhere, and then you see the guy come, this 2-wheeler in the restaurant again. He's like, "Oh, there you are. I thought you were done." He's like, "No, I'm not done." And they sit down, they go over the list. And, last week he made a comment like, "Hey, I don't need this product. What do I do with it?" He's like, "Oh, we'll take it back. No big deal." but it was cool to see them because it wasn't a stressful relationship. That's his driver he's had, he said, for a long time.
Yep.
And he brought the food in. They reviewed what it was on the invoice, made sure it was all there, shook hands. See you next time.
Yeah, and it really becomes, a lot of our customers become like family because we do business with them for 10, 20 years, sometimes 30 years. And when you're seeing someone every week for that length of time, a lot of my customers, I feel like sometimes I see more than my family. You become very close, and the relationships are built on service and friendship in the end.
So let's rewind the conversation. Tell me about the donut and the bagel world. What was that all about?
I was going to Jefferson Community College in downtown Louisville.
Okay.
Not a lot of money, so I needed a job that was close. So Second and Oak, there was a French bakery. A French baker was owned by a gentleman from Bosnia named Ermin Sisik, and he gave me a job. Started working on the old cash register, and before I knew it, I was starting to learn how to bake breads a little bit, make bagels, and I got the pleasure of helping manage a couple other kind of satellite locations for him. One at Spalding University, one downtown in the old Starks building in downtown Louisville. So that's kind of school wasn't my thing. I loved food. I loved people. I like being on the go, and it's just been a natural progression from restaurant management and into distribution sales. And I wake up every day and I'm happy to go to work. I love it.
Well, so how long were you in that business before you went to the next step?
Probably about a year and a half.
Okay.
And then got into managing a commissary for bagel stations, White Mountain ice creameries in Louisville. So went from the French bakery into that segment, and then from that segment, I spent about 9 years with Whitmart Incorporated, which was a Applebee's franchise group. Probably some of the best experience I got was learning what it took to operate a profitable restaurant and seeing how thin the bottom line is. Understanding that if a restaurant's going to be successful, their prime cost, which would be their labor and food cost, it's got to be at 65% or below, or they're going to have a really hard time keeping the doors open. So being able to take that experience to know how to calculate food costs, how to use the labor performance model to schedule your staff for success, it's been so valuable to be that resource for our customers on the sales side, and that deepens that relationship that we have, because we're not talking about the price of the groceries. We're talking about is your menu priced correctly to hit your targeted food cost?
Yep.
And half the time they don't know what their targeted food cost should be.
Yeah.
They don't know what their theoretical perfect world food cost would be if there was no waste, no theft, and nothing going on. So being able to help them dig in and get down to the nuts and bolts of their operation, and work with them on that, it's been invaluable.
Have you ever read David Scott Peters' book, Restaurant Prosperity Formula?
I have not. So
I have to get. I got a copy here. I'll give you. He's the only person I hear talk as much about what you just talked about with theoreticals, was prime costs and where it could be and where it should be and where it probably is, because it's probably not where they think it is. But you bring a pretty different. I didn't know that about your background with Applebee's, and that, to me, if I'm a restaurant operator, to have a guy like you on my side. This isn't to toot your horn, but it's to say, like, that's the value sometimes of when you're that restaurant operator that's shopping every week and trying to find the cheapest tomatoes, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that do that, versus getting to know the Aaron of the world and knowing the background and going, oh man, this guy's operated restaurants longer than me. He's been on my side. 'Cause that's kind of my background with marketing, is there's a lot of people that sell. Some guys would say I sell advertising. That's part of our company. Well, I also buy it. And I've also bought it. We had a boat and RV dealership for 10 years. We have a gym I own down the street for the last 8 years. I understand both sides of the equation, and that's what you bring. And I'm sure a lot of the reps within the food companies and PFG bring to the table as well.
Yeah, and we spend a lot of time on that aspect of the business at every sales meeting. We think they're great tools, and we have a great toolkit to help people engineer their menus for profitability. We can help them, dig into what each plate is actually costing them that's going out of their kitchen.
Yeah.
And one thing we typically find when you have someone who's going out shopping for maybe the cheapest can of tomatoes, typically it's the most talented person in the location.
Yeah.
So instead of engaging with their guests or thinking about what they can do to grow their business, they're looking for a cheaper can of tomatoes.
Looking for that 10 cents.
Yeah. So we try to help them get out of that mindset. And it comes with trust. And that's, we have a pretty good motto with my sales team is that, we treat people the way they wanted to be treated. You charge fairly for the product, the quality of the product, and the service you bring.
Yeah. Talking about the pricing, that was something that really amazed me is when I got into the restaurant business more and more, and I talked to people. I was talking to a guy named Bruce Nelson, who has I think is the controller for a handful of restaurants up in the Minnesota area, and in his book he wrote about financial side of the restaurant business. He talks about his failure when he decided to open his own restaurant, and that he priced his burger off of what the guy's burger down the street sold for. And he's like, I remember looking back and going, it was a $9 burger because his was $9, not because what the heck mine cost. It was because of that. And David Scott Peters talks about that a lot in his book, having those recipe costing cards and understanding how to price something. So talk about that, because I know I've been in a meeting where you talk about menu engineering.
Well, basically, it's really easy if you already have a relationship with our company, because we know what all your pricing is, and we have programs that'll break everything down by your serving size, whether it's ounce, fluid ounce, pounds, eaches, so we can dig in and get to that plate cost quickly. And then when we go to engineering, we're looking, okay, well, how much are you charging for this item? How much profit is it driving? We'll take and put the whole menu out, and we'll say, okay, well, your most featured item is garlic breadsticks. Your profit on them is $5. They sit here in the top right corner. And then you have rib tips over here, and your profit per plate on those items are $7, but they're lost on your menu. Let us help you rebuild this menu, and let's move these rib tips to that prime location, because they're driving $2 more profit for you.
Yep. So
we want it to stand out to your customers. So we get into a lot of conversations like that when we're partnered with a customer. It's a win-win. We need them to succeed.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of our time investing in our customers' success.
And that's, I think, the key element of a professional. And I think also sometimes that it's hard to break that wall down with operators. Like me, I've got a client right now that the results we're getting are outstanding. I mean, 5 to 6 times higher than I've ever seen from a marketing standpoint. But he's not happy with some of the level of couponing. And so we had a conversation last week, and I said, hey, I'm not a fan of couponing either. We're trying to bribe people on the front end to get data and walk down a path. But let's have a conversation and figure out what's going to work best for you in 2 years. Because what I think right now is working, it might not. And him and I had a good hour conversation of him. Before I got in here, I had a text asking for some data, because there's a back and forth. Other times I've had operators that just want to stop working with you and don't tell you why. And you don't get engaged on your expertise. And that's a big thing. I look at a guy like you, that when an operator engages somebody with your knowledge, the opportunity to help them understand things that maybe they aren't looking at because they see them every day.
Yeah, it's a different level level of relationships, and we have great relationships with a lot of our operators. I think you're spending some time in one of them now. I understand I've worked in some concepts where people have driven foot traffic through coupons. I'm like you. I don't like coupons.
Yep.
I can see there may be some value in limited couponing if you need people to know you're there.
Yep.
But the real magic happens. We hope it's magical when they come in and have their first experience at your location, and you've captured them and you've made them a repeat customer right off the bat. If not, then you're just giving away free money by couponing.
Yeah.
So,
That's the danger of it. I always tell people, if you can get somebody in your restaurant, our goal is to get somebody's data to give them what I call an offer, not even a coupon, but some people call it couponing because it's discounting, so that we have their data to get them back. Because I always say, if your food doesn't suck, like the restaurant I was talking to yesterday has a 4.77 out of 1,000 plus reviews. They obviously have good food, good service, and an atmosphere people like. If you have a good experience, why wouldn't the consumer come back? Well, it's because they probably forgot about you. They might drive by you all the time. So that's where the marketing and having their email and text comes back. But the one thing I like, the fact, like with what you guys do, is certain clients rely on me and my team for our expert opinion on marketing. And hopefully a lot of clients rely on guys like you, the restaurant operator, for expertise on menu engineering, on food costs. One thing I saw recently, I want to get your opinion on, Barleycorns is an independent restaurant a couple blocks from here, and they've moved their wings to market price.
Sure.
And they have a wing that's called Dock Style Wing. It's a double fried wing. It's unbelievable. Only place I can get it in Northern Kentucky. I don't give a shit what the price is. I go there. Like, I probably will go get Dock Styles tonight because I'm hungry for them, but I'll go there. I don't even look at the price. I go, give me a large order of Dock Style, give me blue cheese on the side and a side of hot sauce. I don't know if they're $10 or 12 or 16. I think a lot of times restaurants, David Scott Peters talks about this. They have a high value product like that they're leaving profit on the table because they're charging too little for it, or maybe not doing market pricing on something like wings.
Sure. And I think it's really important. One question I ask when I meet a new operator, whether they've been in business for 10 years or they're just opening up, is, what are you famous for?
Okay.
What do people say about you? Who do you want to be? And no one ever says, I want to have the cheapest product in town.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to be viewed. So, helping customers, keep the value on their products. Don't cheapen what you do. You're not really competing with the guy down the road on pricing. You're competing on experience and hospitality. Yeah. How do you make me feel as a guest when I come into your location? Yeah. Because if you make me feel good, you can mess up a lot of things with me, but if you make me feel good and you treat me nice and you say hello when I walk in, that's all the difference. And I'm like you, I don't care what I spend. I don't care what I spend for the wings.
Yeah.
I'm not going there because of the price of the wings. Yep. And that kind of goes back to couponing. I've seen locations over coupon, and what they've done is they've trained their community to only come when their coupon comes out.
Yep.
It always comes back to those real simple things. When you went to grandma's house as a kid or your mom's house, how does she treat you? How does she make you feel when you came for dinner? Thinking of your customers like that, I want them to feel like they're coming into my home, and that they're important, and I value them. You do that, and people keep coming.
Yeah. Oh, it was like last night. I was on the way home. I had a meeting here at the office until like 6 to 6:45, and I called my wife and said, "Hey, I'm going to get dinner on the way home. There's a Mexican place near our house that I like. They do a great job. They have great product." I was just kind of stressed out of my mind just from a long day of talking to people that just wears on you. And I wanted some food that I enjoyed, and that was the place I picked because I didn't think about the price. I didn't think about a coupon. I thought of a place I enjoyed. And that was why we went there. And story from my past was a guy named Bill Mason who ran, I don't know if he's still around the restaurant business. Excuse me. He ran RMI locally. They were an Arby's franchisee for a lot of locations. And this is back in like probably 99, 2000. He said, "Matt, I want to show you the biggest marketing case study or advice I'll give you." I said, "Okay, what is it?" He showed me a screen. It looked like a heart monitor. I said, "What's this?" He goes, "This is same day sales, same store sales." And it also breaks down the week, month, and year. He said, I want to show you something. He goes, this is why you don't do what we did. Their franchise became famous for 5 for 5, all these different deals. He said, you see this line? I go, yeah. He goes, that's where we're flat. He said, you see these days where it's below in these weeks? Yeah. He goes, that's where we didn't run a promo. These up here are when we ran a promo. We've conditioned people to only come to Arby's when there's a promo. He said, and Arby's corporate told us years ago that Arby's is a premium fast food, which I don't know if that's true or not, but they're a premium fast food, and that we don't want people coming here like they do the McDonald's of the world. We want them coming here because of a product. And it cracked me up because he showed me that, and it stuck with me because he said, look, when we do 5 for 5, boom, huge sales spike. When we don't do it, flat line or below. So let's dig into a couple of things. You've been to, the audience of this podcast traditionally as operators of restaurants, a lot of independents. What are a couple stories of things you've seen operators do that stick out? Whether it's a menu item, it's customer service. It's like last week I was at a place down in North Carolina, or not North Carolina, where was I? Salt Lake City in Provo, and they had their own homemade root beer in-house. And that really caught my attention because I'm like, that's pretty cool. What are some things you've seen on the road that you think operators need to know about?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned root beer. There's a big movement with craft sodas that's starting to kick off in. I'm seeing it in Indianapolis market, Louisville market, as that people are looking at healthier options and choices, and it starts with the soda having natural cane sugar versus the high fructose corn syrup. Consumers are becoming more and more educated. I think one of the biggest trends that I was very skeptical about probably 5-7 years ago was the plant-based proteins.
Okay.
I think consumers are asking for that to be on the menu. A lot of concepts that have been in business, 10 or 20 years. It makes me think of New Bethel Ordinary outside of Indianapolis, one of our best independent pizza customers, and they're adding a vegan meatball to their menu. A cauliflower crust pizzas. And I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but I do like to have healthier options on the menu. And I think more and more of our consumers are becoming aware that people are looking for those options. Yep. And if you have a big group, 1 in 8 people is probably going to look for a healthy option. Yeah. And they may be the person that decides on where everybody goes to eat. So I think that's a trend that we're seeing a lot of people embrace. Parlor Pizza downtown is embracing. In downtown Louisville is
great pizza, by the way.
Oh yeah, fantastic. So,
back up real quick. I had those plant-based meatballs at your guys' event you had about a month or two ago. I told the guy that gave it, I'm like, dude, if you wouldn't have told me this was plant-based, I would have thought it was a meatball.
Yeah, you never know.
I'm same thing. I joke, I'm a meatitarian. I'm the opposite of most vegetarians. Like I celebrate when I have a vegetable one time, but I had that meatball and I was like, I guess it's not a meatball, it's a tree ball, whatever you call it. I don't even know. Plant ball. But it tasted amazing. But, back to identifying. I think that's one thing a lot of restaurants need to have as an understanding of. Like you mentioned, he's trying to be the Jeff Ruby of pizza. There's always a race to the bottom. There's so many restaurants out there that want to have the $9.99, the $5.99. There's a lot of people out there like me. I don't look at price. Like if it's a good pizza, like I had at Parlor, I'm going back. Doesn't matter. I'm not going there when it's a deal or a special. I'm going there when it's the place I want to eat pizza. Okay, break time. Restaurant owners, you're watching MPTV, so you're obviously interested in increasing your sales and profits. But what if I told you could eliminate the hope and pray out of your marketing? You could spend money and actually see results. Most marketing starts with attention, like a billboard. The problem is that attention leads nowhere. That's why we created the ROI Engine Restaurant Program. We take attention and gain huge engagement, whether it's in-store or online. We help you build a database with deep customer information that's comprised of email, cell phone, and birthday. And then we drive them into the restaurant with trackable results. Yes, results you can actually see. If you're interested and want to have a conversation, check out restaurantmarketingthatworks.com. Worst case scenario, you get a lot of great ideas. Now back to the show.
Yeah, and I think more and more my customer base, the majority of people I deal with have moved past that let's out cheat my neighbor
Yeah.
to drive business. They've realized that it's not how do I say this? It's not a good strategy
Yeah.
for long-term success.
Yep.
If you only make $3 a plate on average, and you serve 100 customers a day, how are you going to live off $300?
Yeah.
And pay the bills, pay for your groceries. So you have to charge a fair price for the quality product you're serving, and then you've got to cater to your guests when they come in. It's still those real simple things.
Yeah. I remember this is probably 7-8 years ago. There's a Quaker Steak and Lube across the expressway from us. A friend of mine, Jim Combs, owns it, and they struggled to get lunch just because it's a terrible location. It's not a lunch location, and they had this. To me, it was the race to the bottom. They had a $7.99 burger fry drink combo, and I remember telling him, Jim, I think it's a bad idea because number one, it has people thinking of you as a discount lunch place versus you have great product. I said, because they're lining up at Chipotle literally a quarter mile away, because like Chipotle's here, he's kind of behind by one street, and they're dropping $11 on a burrito.
Sure.
And then they're paying $3 for chips and guac, and the next thing you know, they're spending $15 at Chipotle, and they could come here for half the price. It's not that they're not looking for the value; they're looking for that lunch item. It's marketing. Chipotle has branded them to come here. You haven't branded them to come to your place.
Yeah, and you've totally devalued your product when you do that. Interesting story, and I'm not going to mention names, but worked with a large, very successful independent restaurant group. I think 4 locations now, all based out of Louisville, all different concepts. So when I sat down with the owner, and we were talking about menuing, and what his target food cost was going to be, how he was going to develop his pricing strategies, and he said, "I'm going to run a 27% food cost. That's going to be my theoretical." And we costed out everything, and we priced it to be 27%. It didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter if it was a side salad. His food cost was 27%. Still in business. And he still keeps his food cost at 27%. He takes all emotion out of pricing, and he focuses on giving the customers great products, great service, great atmosphere, and it served them really well.
So it's across the board.
Across the board.
Now, do you see that common, or do people typically have their food cost 27 here, 32 here?
I think there are some different strategies. So let's say if you sell a steak for $100, you menu it for $100 to your customer, and the steak costs you $50. So you've made $50 profit.
Yeah.
So it might be okay to have a 50% food cost in that scenario, because you would rather have, you want that $50 going to the bank.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have your steak be $130. There is some market relevance.
Yeah.
when you get into higher end products with beef and seafood, where you do maybe have to put some thought into, am I just way out of the market? But what I see, number one, half the operators I walk into don't know what their food cost is, and that's kind of scary. It's they don't have a real plan for success.
Yeah.
They're swinging and hoping they hit. They're hoping that there's no theft, no waste, and that they're hoping they've priced right, and they've looked at other people's menus, and they've said, okay, well, if they charge this, I can charge this, and it's scary.
I was when I was working at Rapid Fire. This was my first day on the job, which sounds weird to say now. This is my first day on the job, but I was watching Michael how they have a scale. Once they put the pan in the dough, they put it on the scale after they sauce it, because they have a certain number of ladles that get sauce. But one of the most expensive items on that line is the cheese.
Oh,
and so they put it on the scale. They wave their hand that zeros it, and then because you got to have some people that might have hands like Chewbacca or like my daughter, that dictates the cheese volume. And I was pretty impressed with how it was, because, hey, this is what it's going to weigh when it's done. And if they want extra cheese, they get charged for extra cheese, not being friendly. And it really hammered home to me the value of that because, I'm up there for 2 or 3 hours and I watch 100 pizzas go through there. And if that's just 1 ounce off at 100 pizzas, it might not seem like a big deal to a 17-year-old. It's not a huge deal when you add that up, 365 days a year, lunch and dinner shift. Next thing you know, that could be 6 figures in cheese gone.
Oh, yeah. Could be 50 cents a pizza.
Yeah.
Maybe more. So 2 things there. That it's fantastic that they're doing that at Rapid Fire. So what they've done is they figured out what they want their cost to be for that pizza. They've decided what the fair price they're charging their customers. And another great thing they do by weighing that out is they've given their customer consistency in their product.
Yep.
That I love Rapid Fire. I can go and I know what I'm going to get every time I go there. Yep. Which is great as a consumer.
Yeah, there's somebody I've heard, I can't think who it was. I've heard them say it in speeches at restaurant shows that you might have an employee that's got a hand like Chewbacca and one like a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're relying on them to grab cheese and put on a pizza, that could be a scary thing.
Oh, yeah. For an operator, it's extremely scary. Or as a customer, what if it's the reverse? What if it's someone with tiny hands?
Yeah, and you get no cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a pizza place down the street from our house. I won't mention the name that their pizza sometimes comes out with like too much cheese. Like it's like bubble gum. And me knowing the price of the cheese, I'm like, man, they just wasted probably $1.50 on this extra large pizza. And if you do that 10, 20, 30, 40 times a day, holy crap.
Yeah, it's huge. I think we've seen some huge spikes in inflation in cheese this year, up and down. So weighing out your cheese or pre-portioning before your shifts is huge for a pizza operator. It's the difference between making money or not making money in most cases.
Yeah.
Restaurant owners, did you know Matt has free online marketing courses that teach you how to successfully market your restaurant? Email support@mattplapp.com to get access to the courses and a free social media content calendar.
Okay, well, I like to end the podcast with a question. You're a family man. You're a busy entrepreneur, out doing a lot of stuff. What do you do to turn it on airplane mode? To get away from performance food, to get away from the restaurant clients, to just kind of get your mind right?
Love to boat.
Okay.
So spend a lot of time just floating on the lake on the weekends.
What lake?
Mostly, Taylorsville Lake, Rough River Lake. Within a couple hours of Louisville, we'll lake hop and spend time with family on No Lynn. So that's probably one of my happy places. Yep. It's a place where I can just let it all go. Get in the middle of the lake, cell phones don't work, so it forces me to take some downtime. And especially during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was such a blessing for our family just to be able to go out in the middle of the lake and get away from it. Yeah. There's no COVID-19 in the middle of the lake when you're on a boat with your family. So
I asked that question because I think a lot of people like you, like me, a lot of the operators people watching the podcast, you could work 24 hours a day.
You can.
There's always something to do. But guess what? For the most part, nobody, like in our business, nobody's dying tomorrow if it doesn't happen. Like I had an email I had to send yesterday. I got home, I was fried. And he actually texted me about the email today. I got to finish it up, send it to him. But it was like, I wanted to get it to him, but at the end of the day, last night I had to disconnect. I hopped in my hot tub for 45 minutes and chilled out for a little bit, got up, went to bed. I think it's important that you have a release. And also it's important that if it's with people you love, like your family.
Yeah, and I'm really fortunate that I love what I do. I'm one of the people that can say I love what I do. I love restaurants and fun atmospheres. Who doesn't? I figured out how to make that my career. So 9 times out of 10, I wake up and it's going to be a great day. I'm human, so I'm gonna have a bad day occasionally, like everyone else. Yep. But 90% of the time, I feel just so fortunate. I get to go talk to the people I love, do what I love, and and have fun all day long, every day.
Well, cool. Well, I had fun today. I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.
Thanks, sir. That's all we got for this episode of MPTV. We'll see you next time.